Hello, everybody. I hope you're well and happy wherever you are. I'm here to read you another chapter from Molly Moon's incredible book of hypnotism, and I am Georgia Byng, her what wrote the book. And for you to look at today is this sculpture, which is by Lynn Chadwick. That's Lynn Chadwick. He made the sculpture I had in the background for another chapter. I can't remember which chapter it was. It was a sculpture of a girl with a triangular head. I should maybe put this sculpture and that one together and they'd look like Molly and Petula, maybe. I'll try that. Maybe I'll do that for the last chapter. Anyway, without further ado, here is chapter 31. The hotel receptionist was tired from his night shift. Molly easily used her powers to persuade him to give Notman a room just for that day and to bring him a clean outfit, whatever outfit the hotel had that would fit him, and a shaving kit. The receptionist nodded and led them to a room on the 16th floor. Lastly, Molly instructed him, you won't remember seeing this man after you have delivered his outfit. Is that understood? Understood, madam. You may go. Then to Notman, Molly said, sleep in here until 2 o'clock today. Then have a bath, wash your hair, shave off your moustache and your goatee beard, and make yourself smell nice. And at 2:30, when you're dressed in your new outfit, come to room 125. Molly and Rocky then went upstairs and, peeling their top layers off, flopped onto the bed, fully clothed. Petula made herself a bed on Molly's old anorak and fell asleep too. Molly slept until her alarm went off. For a minute or two she lay on the bed, looking at Rocky's doodle-covered hands and listening to him snoring and the rain, which was starting to pelt down outside. Their early morning adventure already seemed like a dream. Molly smiled and rang room service to order some food. Rocky woke to the smell of eggs and toast, and then he and Molly sat down for a TV brunch. The news channels were full of reports about the gnomes. The TV reporters were going bananas. This was a fabulous news story. On chapter 38, a reporter, that's channel 38, a reporter under his umbrella was talking excitedly into a furry microphone outside Shoring's Bank. Amazingly, the Shoring's Bank jewels have all been returned. The bank has verified that every last pearl has been accounted for, every diamond, ruby, and gem. In fact, goods to the values of $100 million. And the method of delivery adds a bizarre twist to what was already a teasing story. 25 garden gnomes stuffed full of the stolen property were discovered around the city of Manhattan in the early hours of this morning after an anonymous phone call. The male caller had a Chicago accent, but apart from that, nothing else is known about him. Police have released these pictures of the gnomes as they found them. The screen filled with photographs of the gnomes, looking startled in the darkness, lit with police torches like criminals caught in the act. They looked very funny. The reporter continued, the reason for the return of the jewels is baffling, detectives. Some think that the robbery was some sort of dare. Others believe the robbers themselves were robbed. The police are asking the public for any information that could help them solve the mystery. Now back to the studio. More, Rocky shouted at the TV. We want more pictures of the gnomes and more of the police looking baffled. He fired the remote control at the TV, skimming through the channels, trying to find more news. Oh, he complained. Lunchtime news is over. I've never been on the news before. That was brilliant. We were brilliant, agreed Molly. We robbed that bank like professionals and returned the loot like undercover agents. Except, though, we did have a few hiccups doing it, chuckled Rocky. Molly, you didn't look quite so pleased with yourself in the bank when you thought you'd been caught on film. Your face was so worried. Molly remembered and grinned. Okay, but not half as freaked out as you looked when you thought we wouldn't get past those eye scanners. Yeah, but what about you, Molly, in Gramercy Park this morning when Petula went running off? I thought your bottom lip was going to fall off. Molly and Rocky laughed as they relived the scariest moments, scene by scene. And the crazy thing is, no one will ever know who did it or how it was done. In fact, you know what? Rocky pointed out proudly. This crime will go down in history. It would go down in history. Molly remembered how Notman had hoped for that himself. Then other things he'd said ruffled her. Molly switched the TV off and started twiddling her napkin with her fingers. You know, Rocky, I'm no better than Notman, really. I'm a criminal too. Rocky looked surprised. Yes, I am, Rocky, if you think about it. I mean, look at this place. I conned my way here. I conned people to pay for it. I conned Davina Nuttall out of her part. I conned the audience in Briarsville, so I stole the prize money, really. And I cheated all those other kids out of a chance to win the talent show. Oh, shut up, said Rocky light-heartedly. You are a genius hypnotist. That's what you're good at. That's what your talent is. I mean, none of those people in Briarsville could have ever got to New York with their talent. You're brilliant. Everyone's happy. New Yorkers loved your show. They had the best night of their lives. And Rixie and Barry love you. Just look at all the publicity that you've got them for Stars on Mars. Now everyone in New York knows about it and loads of them will buy tickets. You're not a real thief. You just get what you want using a different method to everyone else. The only thing you ever actually really stole, Molly, was Davina's part. And she wasn't an angel herself, was she? You and me are the only ones who know the truth, and so, what does it really matter? Yeah, I know, but being truthful is better, isn't it? Okay, it is. But Molly, I'm not having you go on some kind of guilt trip now. Loosen up. Molly did feel guilty. But more than that, like a runaway horse that had galloped and galloped, she found herself in a place where she didn't really want to be. Being with Rocky had made her slow down and look about. Rocky, it's not just that. There's something else that's making me feel, well, bad, really. I know this hotel room is amazing and everything, but the thing is, Rock, I'm starting to not like being Molly Moon, the star. Maybe I would do if I really was the person who everyone thinks I am, but the thing is, I'm not. And it seems, well, it may seem funny to you, but I'm actually getting tired of this thing where people just like me because they've been hypnotized to like me. People aren't really liking the real me. They're liking something unreal. They're liking a sort of adverty fake Molly Moon. So it makes the real me feel like rubbish, and my life here is just a waste of time because it's not the real Molly Moon's life. Nobody is getting to know the real Molly Moon. She looked at Petula, sound asleep. I mean, even Petula doesn't properly like me. I hypnotized her to like me. Molly, but that was ages ago. Your hypnosis on Petula must have worn off by now. Worn off? What are you talking about? Molly, it doesn't last forever, you know. Didn't you realise? The lessons that animals or people learn from hypnosis can last forever, like Petula not eating chocolate biscuits and liking you, she got into new habits that made her feel good, so she carried on being like that. Carried on not liking chocolate biscuits. Carried on liking you. But the hypnotism doesn't last forever. Petula's not hypnotised anymore. Now she likes you because she does. What? So you mean that the hypnotism that I did on Barry Bragg and Rixie Bloomy will wear off? Molly's mouth fell open. Sure, eventually. They won't even know that they were actually hypnotised, and they'll always remember you as brilliant. But if you didn't see them for 6 months, they wouldn't think you were as brilliant as they thought you were before. You'd have to hypnotise them all over again. And the audience that I hypnotised? Well, the same. They'll remember you being good, but if they saw you on stage again, you'd have to hypnotise them afresh. Otherwise, they'd see your little singing and dancing routine for what it is. But how do you know all of this? Asked Molly. From the book, of course. Molly looked perplexed. Oh, whoops, Rocky said, covering his mouth with his hand. It was written at the end of chapter 8. So that piece of vital information was in your pocket. Jeepers. Sorry, don't worry, said Molly thoughtfully. So hypnotism wears off. Well, you know what? The sparkle of my life here has worn off too. I wanted to leave New York with you and Petula anyway. Now you've told me all of this, I really want to go. Having to charm and hypnotise everyone all the time, forever. Ugh. The idea is a nightmare. Where do you want to go? Asked Rocky. Molly looked up at the ceiling. I've been worrying, she admitted, about everyone at Hardwick House. Not Hazel or Gordon or Roger, but about Gemma and Jerry and Ruby and Jinx. So have I, agreed Rocky. Imagine what it must be like there with Hazel in charge. It's probably worse than when Miss Addison was there, even with Mrs. Drinkleby coming in. And it's all my fault, said Molly. I bet Hazel has them doing all the work. I want to go back. But you, Rocky, you won't want to come back, not now that you've got new parents. Ah. Well, Molly, I've got something to tell you about the Alabasters. They weren't very nice. Not very nice? No. In fact, they were horrible. Rocky proceeded to tell Molly about the dreadful Alabasters who had seemed wonderful the day they had visited Hardwick House, but who had soon shown their true colours once back in America. They'd been very, very strict, and Rocky found their house like a jail. They wanted to dress me in stiff, old-fashioned suits and make me sit inside doing puzzles or making origami. What's origami? You know, that Japanese art of folding paper. Well, I wouldn't have minded doing it a bit. It was just that they gave me a book to learn from, and the instructions were impossible to follow, and they wanted me to do it all day long. All day. Well, a lot of the day. They said that it would discipline my mind. I hypnotised them, of course, to drop the origami. What else? Well, they didn't like me going out in case I muddied my clothes or in case I caught a bug from another kid. Not that I saw other kids. Their neighbourhood was full of old people. Old people. Once when I went on a wander, they called the police. I tried to hypnotise them to loosen up, but it didn't always work. I wasn't as good at it as you, Molly. If they'd had their way, I wouldn't have been allowed to sing or whistle, or go for a walk, or watch telly. They liked me reading, but the only books were ancient annuals that Mrs. Alabaster had had when she was a girl. Oh, and the food they ate was gross. They were both on special diets, and so I had to eat their rabbit food with them. Rabbit food? Well, it looked like rabbit food. Sometimes it looked like cat food with goldfish food sprinkled on top. Everything they did was weird. It was hard work living with them. I got what I wanted in the end, but they were not the people I'd hoped they were, and I hated my life there. Worst of all, I missed you. I mean, you're my family, Molly. I've known you forever. Molly felt all warm inside. Thanks, Rocky. There were a few moments' silence as the two smiled at each other, appreciating what they had. Then Molly asked, "How will we get away? How will you get away?" "I'll call them and put some ideas into their heads. I'll hypnotise them that it never worked out because they didn't like me. I'll make them think that they sent me back and that it was all for the best. You know, that sort of thing." "It's going to be very difficult disentangling myself from New York," said Molly, with dread in her voice. "You can fix everything," said Rocky thoughtfully. "I know what you should do, and I think I may know how you can make up for all your guilt about the conning you've been doing. You just need to make a few phone calls." 10 minutes later, Molly was on the phone. "Yes, Barry, so Petula got returned in the night?"
"Just like the Shoring's bank gnomes,"
said Barry. "Yes, just like the gnomes. But you see, Barry, the whole kidnap thing, it really freaked me out. And so I've decided I want Davina to have the part back. I want to take a long break."
"But..."
"I have to go," said Molly firmly. "I see," said Barry.
"Well, Rixie and I and the cast will miss you."
"Thank you. I'll miss you too. Now, Barry, listen carefully. You must organise the hotel bill to be paid, and I want some wages. How much do you think is really fair?"
"Well, considering the amount you've cost to keep and the cost of the massive magnifying glass and balanced against the great publicity you got the show, well, I think $30,000,
calculated Barry, thinking about his 10%.
"Okay,"
said Molly, very pleased by his sums. "Great. Please will you have that delivered to the Bellingham Hotel by 4 o'clock today? Oh, and can I have that in cash, please?"
"Agreed."
"And Barry, tell Rixie that I can't do the show again tonight. Let Laura, the understudy, do it. And, oh, and talking of Laura, will you look after her, Barry? Make sure she gets a really good lead part in something. Take her under your wing sort of thing."
"Agreed."
"And then with me, no one is to know that I'm actually leaving until tomorrow."
"Agreed."
"Tell Rixie you had a long, long conversation with me and that I said goodbye. Say that I'll call her."
"Agreed."
So, goodbye, Barry, and thank you for everything."
"Agreed,"
said Barry, and he put the phone down. "See, that wasn't so bad, was it?" said Rocky. "No," said Molly, although inside she was feeling slightly sad. She'd grown fond of balmy old Barry Bragg, and she would miss him. And that is the end of chapter 31. So I hope you enjoyed that. And oh, by the way, in general, if you have been enjoying this, do subscribe to this channel, which I think is over here below this box. And over here is the subscribe button. You press it, and also tell your friends about this, because some people may like it too. And then after I've done this book, I will be doing other books. I may actually read some books that I haven't had published yet, which will be hopefully really, really good for you. So anyway, yes, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you soon for chapter 32. Until then, keep well, be kind, and happy hypnotizing. Bye.